For those who don't know me, my name's Duncan. I'm one of the pastors here, and I just want to spend a few minutes sharing with you a bit about an opportunity that has arisen for us as a church at Wood Green to partner with a couple of other churches in the Wyre Forest area in North Worcestershire. The two churches that have come to us asking for help, you can see them here on the map, are firstly Kidderminster Evangelical Church. That is an FIEC church on the south side of Kidderminster. And their pastor, Philip Hearn, recently announced that he'll be retiring next summer in June 2024. That will leave the church with just one lay elder. And with just around 20 or 25 active members, they're not in a position to replace their pastor by themselves. The other church, you can see Christchurch Wyre Forest, just 7 minutes away in Stourport, 7 minutes from Kidderminster. That is a small Anglican church, although it's not in the Church of England, it's in a small evangelical Anglican denomination called the Anglican Mission in England. They are a similar size, about 20 active members, and we've done quite a lot with Christchurch over the years. They've often joined our summer services online or in person, and Tom led a team of Wood Greeners who helped cover the sabbatical of Leo last year. The current minister at Christchurch doesn't feel like he is the right person to kind of bring about the increase in numbers and reverse the fortunes of the church, humanly speaking, as the lead pastor himself. And so both churches have come to us at the same time asking if we can do anything to help them. Both churches would be skewed kind of in demographic towards the older end of the age spectrum, although they both have some children and young people. And they've come to us, I think, because humanly speaking, they've realized what their likely trajectory is unless they do something different. And both of these churches are still desperate to see that region of North Worcestershire, the Wyre Forest, home to some over 100,000 people, reached with the good news of Jesus. And they're frustrated that they're not able to do that effectively at the moment. And so with great humility, rather than burying their head in the sand or rather than hitting the snooze button, they've approached Wood Green for some help. And over the summer, the leaders of those churches met with Richard and asked, can Wood Green help in some way? And I hope you're not surprised by the fact that our instinct as a church has been to want to help. We believe as a larger church in this county that we have a responsibility to help other faithful gospel initiatives nearby. And we're saddened at the prospect of this large area having very little in the way of vibrant, healthy, Bible-centered churches. And so through conversations over the last 4 or 5 months, the leadership of Wood Green, together with the leadership of Christchurch and Kidderminster Evangelical, have become united in the belief that what we think is the best way forward is to form a new church in this area, a new church that would be contemporary, Bible-centered, outward-looking, and that would be affiliated to the FIEC with a desire to reach the Wyre Forest with the good news of Jesus. And the proposal is that this new church will be made up of people from Kidderminster Evangelical, from Christchurch Wyre Forest, and also, crucially, a team of willing, servant-hearted people that might be willing to go from Wood Green to be part of this new church. If, God willing, things progress in the right direction, the leadership of the church will be made up of one leader from each of those 3 churches. So the lay elder who's going to remain at Kidderminster, who's Phil, not Philip, Phil. He will be part of the new leadership. Leo, the current minister at Christchurch Wyre Forest, and myself would be the 3rd elder and employed as lead pastor if, God willing, things progress as we hope. And finances permitting, it may be that Leo, the current minister at Christchurch Wyre Forest, may take a part-time role if the finances enable that to happen, but he is committed to being involved either way. And the leadership of all 3 churches believe one thing that will make a huge difference to the viability of this proposed new church is if a group of Wood Greeners are willing to go and commit to being part of that. And at our recent members meeting, Leo, Phil, and Philip from the other churches were interviewed. And I just want you to watch this short clip of Leo, the minister at Christchurch Wyre Forest, explaining in his view why having a group from Wood Green being part of this new church from the start would make such a difference. So if we can watch this video, that'd be great.
So I think I'm here as the man from not Macedonia, but the Wyre Forest, to say, come and help us. So, I mean, certainly for Christchurch, and I think it's the same, but we have a desire and a longing to reach the Wyre Forest. That has always been the case, and we are frustrated that we can't do it. And we need help, and we acknowledge that we need that in new leadership, we need that in a new vision, we need that in new people. So please come and help us. I think, and for me, that's key for two reasons. Partly, it just changes the shape of the church, changes the energy of the church. But also, I think it changes the dynamic. So if we join together, it would both feel like kind of just planned decline, sort of maintaining decline together. But also, it would also be a case of us sort of saying, kind of, well, are we joining you? Are you joining us? And it's very sort of, the issues will be very much, well, this is the way we did it, this is the way. Whereas once you put three together, you put different people come from different places, then actually there's no one way. We can sort of start afresh, if you like.
Yeah.
Great, you can watch that. There's a whole extended interview from our recent members meeting you can watch via the link in Church Matters. One of the reasons why I'm personally excited about this opportunity is the way that God's hand seems to have been over all of this, just like we've been singing. Just to give you one example, it's been amazing to watch the way that God has stirred the hearts of the people in those two churches to consider this. I think it's fair to say when the church in Kidderminster were told their pastor was going to retire next year, they were a little bit shocked. And then to be told the initial thought of the leadership was to talk to these other churches about forming a new church rather than just seeking to replace him directly and carry on as normal. That was quite a big thing for them to get their heads round after having the same pastor for 27 years. But just last week, a couple of months after they kind of heard that bombshell, last week at their members meeting, the church in Kidderminster had a 100% vote in favour of progressing with these discussions with ourselves and Christchurch Wyre Forest. I think we've seen a number of other signs as well that God has been opening this door. I think evidently in the humility of those three leaders you saw on stage being willing to consider embracing change in this way. I think there's very strong foundations for a new church to be built upon. There's a number of very godly Christians with this desire, as you've heard, to reach their area for the Lord Jesus. There is trusted relationships between the churches, and for the new church to know that there'll be a leader from each of the three churches involved. I myself have known Leo for about 12 years. He was one of my mentors when I was a ministry trainee at a church in the northeast. So we believe there's good foundations to build on, and we've also seen God's hand over the timing of all this. The fact that both of these churches, I think, reached this decision point at the same time, and at the particular time they did. I'm not sure a year ago we'd have had the ability as a church to respond in the same way to offer help. And from a personal point of view, Megan and myself haven't really been particularly looking to leave Wood Green. We feel loved and very much supported here. But as we've thought about it and the gospel need in this area, I think we felt we just cannot sit on our hands and watch faithful gospel witness disappear. And myself and Megan have been personally really helped by this verse we looked at in 1 Samuel last year. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. We've been helped as we've thought about that verse, as we've heard lots of visiting mission speakers come and challenge us to be willing to take risks for Jesus. And we believe the opportunity is worth doing that. And on behalf of the eldership at Wood Green, my question to all of us here today, my question to you is, would you be willing to consider coming and being part of this new church? I'd love each person here to think about that question. Would you be willing to consider coming and being part of this new church? I'd love you to pray about that particular question. To help you think about this, here's an approximate timescale for what might happen next. Have we gone forward to? Okay, well, you'll just have to memorize this. The approximate timescale, so in January, in fact, if I skip onto this slide, you can see at the bottom there, in January, February and March, we've got a series of afternoon meetings in Kidderminster, which will be an opportunity to meet people from the other churches and to hear more about the vision for the church. And then in April, we'll look to take a final decision. Is this church going to go ahead or not? That would involve some kind of binding votes from Christchurch and Kidderminster to transfer their assets and all that kind of thing. And then over the next kind of 6, 8, 10 months, we'd be getting all those involved meeting regularly or semi-regularly to get to know each other before the church would start meeting regularly, I think from sometime in early 2025, before Easter 2025. So what to do next? Please do consider about whether you could be part of this. Please do pray about that. Go back and watch the video on Church Matters if that would be helpful. I want to really stress, we love the group from Wood Green to be made up of people of all different ages and all different gifts. Really, if you're willing to consider being part of this new work, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Please do chat to myself or Megan or Richard or one of the other elders here. We'd love to talk to you about that, try and answer some of your questions you might have. And then thirdly, please do come along to those meetings in the new year. I promise you are not signing your life away if you turn up at one or all of those meetings. They're designed to give you an opportunity to work out if this is right for yourself. So thank you for listening and considering that